Greetings metalheads and welcome to No Nonsense Metal Reviews. I'm George and today I'm reviewing something a little bit different. Came out in 2015, so it's been around for a couple of years now. A release from the mighty Darkthrone, Norwegian black metal, or just whatever they want to be, extreme music wise, legends, and certainly one of the pioneering black metal bands, Darkthrone. Absolutely love these guys. Don't have a bad album in my opinion, and this was something that I really wanted in my collection. It's a little Christmas present to me, and I have to say I've been really impressed by it. It's, if you're not familiar, it contains 3 discs, one covering the more obvious black metal era of the band, one covering the death metal era and period of the band, and then beyond, covering whatever it is that they have decided they want to create. They do not stick to musical boundaries. They are quite happy to fluctuate between black metal, thrash metal, death metal, punk, rock and roll, heavy metal, whatever they want to be. So you've got those 3 discs that comprise this compilation piece, and you've also got really interesting biographical and photographic compilation in here. It's a really lovely piece. There's lots of really interesting photographs, some of them quite amusing, and some of them are quite inspiring as well. Interestingly, it covers the band in a totally different way because it covers them from Fenriz and Nocturno Culto's perspective. So it is a biographical piece. These guys actually talking about the origins of the band, actually talking about how they felt about some of their albums and also their own personal experiences. And it's really quite nice to read that. Certainly when someone like me, who has gotten into Darkthrone a number of years ago and sort of had to work backwards. Obviously I wasn't around or probably were way too young to have heard of or appreciated some of those albums. So I've gone backwards, but it's nice to actually read it in that chronological order, shall we say. So I'll talk a little bit about the actual book here. As I say, it follows the progression of the band right from the beginning, right from Fenriz talking about his upbringing and where he was raised and his schooling, right through to the band after a few sort of failed or less successful, shall we say, attempts to get bands going and get musicians together, if you want to call them that. It sounds, from Fenriz's words here, it sounds like it was all very, shall we say, unprofessional, very immature, very, can you play an instrument? Well, okay, let's just try anyway. Sounds a bit kind of makeshift, but eventually, after Valhall, it became Black Death, which progressed and changed the name into Darkthrone, the band we now know and love. So you get the full story of the band right the way through up until the point of the underground resistance. So we'll talk a little bit about some things, interesting points. I'm not going to basically give you story time and just read the entire book to you, but there are some really interesting periods in here. Certainly it's really interesting to read Nocturno Culto and Fenriz's opinions of those early albums, from the Soulside Journey, when they were a death metal band for all intents and purposes, but they were dissatisfied to a degree with elements of the album, its recording process and production, and then a subsequent decision to shelve the second intended album, Goat Lord, which was deemed to be far too technical and far too progressive. Didn't want to be associated with death metal really anymore by that point in the band, so they shelved it, and that then gave birth. It certainly paved the way to the creation of the first proper second wave of black metal album, A Blaze in the Northern Sky. It's very interesting to hear their thoughts and their opinions on the production of those albums, and also what they wanted from their own respective instruments and musicianship on those albums. They take you through the story of the success and the scene-wide impact of Transylvanian Hunger, probably their best album from that early period. It's certainly an album that I define as textbook black metal, because it was one of the first to really carry that sound. Then they take you through the slightly less well-received albums, the likes of Panzerfaust, of Total Death, Plague Wielder. They also take you through personal issues and complications. Fenris talking about his period of depression, of the impact of the allegations following and the gossip following the death of Dead and Euronymous later on from Mayhem. Fenris also talks about the impact of being friends or certainly associates with Varg Vikernes, who obviously perpetrated that brutal murder of Euronymous. It's really interesting to read these things. And it's really interesting, I found, to read the thoughts and opinions and feelings of Ted and of Nocturno Culto and Fenris on the albums that really did change things. Albums like Hate Them or Sardonic Wrath, The Cult is Alive, Fode, or abbreviation for F off and die, Black Flags as well. These albums that had mixed opinions or a provoked response from people saying, this isn't black metal anymore, this sounds like that, this sounds like that. You cannot define Darkthrone. But I would say, honestly, that the biographical piece in this is a really good, interesting read. There's some good input and quotations from people like Apollyon from Aura Noir. Also, we've got a closing statement there from Chris Reifert from Autopsy. We've got Metallion commenting there. We have a few different characters, and we've also got comments from Dag Nilsson, original bass, well, not original bass player, I don't really know, but bass player for quite a period of the band. So it's really interesting stuff. It's certainly a really enjoyable biographical read, and I really would recommend it for any fan of Darkthrone and anyone just wanting to get a bit of an insight into one of the most notorious and critically acclaimed black metal bands of all time. So I'll take you through a little bit of the material here. As I've mentioned, it's broken up into Black Death and Beyond. So take that first disc from, as it is in chronological order, from the period of Blaze in the Northern Sky. We have two fantastic tracks from that album. The absolutely sprawling epic Catharian Life Code. Brilliant track, over 10 minutes long. Just a solid, epic masterpiece from Darkthrone there. We've also got In the Shadow of the Horns, which is a definitive, raw, Venom and Motorhead influenced black metal song. Love that one. The title track from Under a Funeral Moon, brilliant song. Unparalleled misery and darkness and frost that we get in the riffs on In I De Deep Skogas Farven. If that is how you pronounce it, then I'll be amazed, but that is how I'm reading it. It's a fantastic song nonetheless. Really love that one. Very frosty indeed. Transylvanian Hunger, the title track, absolute masterpiece, certainly highly regarded by a lot, or if not all, black metal fans as being one of the truly great moments of black metal. Then we've got some tracks like The Hordes of Nebula, Gather for Attack on the Pearly Gates, The Claws of Time. So we've got basically one track from each of the less well-received albums there, like Panzerfaust. Then we've got Total Death and Plague Wielder. But we do get some fantastic songs on here from the latter period. I really do think tracks like Command and certainly The Mighty Rust That is an absolutely superb song, fantastic riffs. Fucked Up and Ready to Die, another brilliant song indeed, love that one. Hate Is the Law, The Cult of Goliath. So we've moved right up to the hate them point of the band's career. Some really good stuff. This is perfect if you're not really all that familiar with Darkthrone's material and you want to follow the progression. This is a fantastic place to start. Then we've got on the Death disc, we've got Snowfall, a track from the A New Dimension demo, I believe. And we've got a demo version from the Cromlech demo, The Watchtower, which featured on that classic seminal debut album, Soulside Journey. So most of this second disc, the Death disc, is represented by Soulside Journey and the shelved Goat Lord album. So we've got Sunrise Over Locus Mortis, the title track, Neptune Towers, an amazing old school death metal song, very typical of that Sunlight Studios sound, but also chilling with its orchestration and its organ sounds. Brilliant. Nor the Silent Whispers, another great track. But then we've got some really genuinely good material from Goat Lord. They obviously released it later on, but I think it's a really great album. Sadomasochistic Rites, In His Lovely Kingdom, which is brilliant. There's actually quite a lot of doomy elements in the Goat Lord material as well, I think. Black Daemon, Green Cave Float, Paragon Belial, that is a fantastic song. And we've got A Blaze in the Northern Sky in that early form. Then with Beyond, we have a whole host of great material covering the bands from around the time of The Cult Is Alive and then up to modern day. So we've got Atomic Coming, Graveyard Slut, very energetic, punky, nasty song that is. Whiskey Funeral, full of attitude. I absolutely love and cannot overstate the brilliance of the riff and the rhythm on These Shores Are Damned. That is such a fantastic song. Absolutely love that track. The Banners of Old, another great one. The Winds They Call the Dungeon Shaker. Now that is a fantastic song. It's quite punky. Actually, it's very raw. It's got black metal. All these tracks, the skeleton of them is black metal. Black metal elements in there, but it's very traditional metal, traditional rock and roll, traditional just Darkthrone, to be honest, doing what they want to do. Grizzly Trade, another fantastic song. Then we've got some fantastic material included from the Circle the Wagons album with the likes of Those Treasures Will Never Befall You and Running for Borders, Stylized Corpse, doomy elements in all of those tracks. Dead Early and The Ones You Left Behind from the Underground Resistance. Another fantastic album. As I say, I don't think Darkthrone have a bad album, but I think the material musically is a great overview of Darkthrone. If you've never heard of Darkthrone or you've never actually given them a listen, this would be perfect because these are fantastic songs, really well structured. I really love the layout. I've listened to all 3 tracks subsequently quite a number of times now, actually. I'm quite sad like that. I like to listen to something quite a few times to really get my head around it. The biographical material in here is great. The photos are really nice to see as well. It's a really good release and you can pick it up for not very much at all, to be honest, on the Peaceville Records website, on their, I think it's the Burning Shed web store. It's great. So if you're not a fan of Darkthrone, this is a fantastic place to start. If you are, then this is a fantastic collector's piece, a really nice addition to your collection. It's a really great thing to have. So do check it out. I would highly recommend it. Certainly, if you're not familiar with Darkthrone, if you like just metal, just extreme music, then this is a great place to start and you'll love Darkthrone. So, there we have it, Black Death and Beyond by the mighty Darkthrone, a very interesting and lovely collector's release for you there. Have you got this release? Are you familiar with it? Do let me know your opinions, your thoughts on it. If you're not familiar with it, do check it out. You will not regret it. Thank you very much for watching, my friends. Do take care. Check back soon for more reviews and recommendations of all things good and heavy. As always, stay heavy.